Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So the new lockbox is now available. You'll be able to purchase it from the bazaar just here, but it will also drop whenever you kill enemies, just like previous lockboxes. So we're going to go ahead and obtain all of the new rewards from them and test it out. Now again, it's exactly like previous lockboxes with regards to the loot, except for the new Zodar armor mount and the new beacon of Meteor Swarm artifact. Both of them are indeed going to be on mythic quality and account wide. Keep in mind again of the drop rates, they are listed in the tooltip, but otherwise you will obtain guaranteed rewards after you open a certain amount. Keep in mind when you get to 50, it only has a small extra chance that you'd get the artifact, and at 125 the same with the mount. It's still only a chance. Once you get to 250 however, you guaranteed obtain a choice pack where you can choose either the mount or the artifact. Again, everything from this lockbox will be unbound and you should be able to sell it. So we're going to go right ahead and open 250 of these so that we can get all of our rewards. In most cases, that's what you will experience. So again, when we get to those milestones, we are obtaining those guaranteed rewards. For example, we get to 25 here and you can see we get those extra companion upgrade tokens. You'll keep opening more here. We already got the artifact just there. That's very nice. Again, it will come in a pack that you can sell, and it's only once you open the pack will it then be bound. Here we get to 50 opened, and again, it's only an extra chance to get, say, the artifact. You're not necessarily going to. We just ended up getting a blue companion there. Now let's proceed onwards to 75. We get our bonus 1000 trade bars, which is very nice. Again, you can see all of the drops here. This is after 75. Let's keep opening more. Get to that 100 marker just here. And we get the bonus reward of just 50 mount tokens. Again, this lockbox is like all the others with regards to the loot it's going to be dropping you. Those epic mounts, epic companions, and all that stuff. We got our bonus reward there. Now we get to 150. We get our next bonus reward of a 2000 trade bars, and you just continue. I would recommend sticking to these lockboxes until you get to 250 and then switch to the next. Now this lockbox and the previous two are really good. This one having a mythic artifact and a mythic mount, which is useful. And then the previous one also having the Marco's Mystic Marker, which is very valuable. And the previous one on that, the Dragonflight Lockbox, is also super valuable with the Demon Wings and the Crystal of Soul Flight artifact. Anyway, we get to 250 and you can see you get the choice pack. So we can see we were a bit more lucky and got 2 of the artifacts. And out of this pack, this is probably what's going to sell the most. It should be a pretty good damaging multi-target artifact, and it is on the maximum quality mythic and account wide, so it's super useful for alternate characters. I myself will be picking this up. The mount, on the other hand, we did actually obtain one of them, so we got pretty lucky here getting 3 of the top mythic rewards, and then additionally the choice pack to obtain any of them. So first of all, let's check out this mount. We'll go and equip it. Once here, it gives us those abilities. We have the actions speak louder, which is basically the Vecna mount, just a little bit better because it can also give damage resist and outgoing healing. You can see the tooltip of the Vecna mount right there. Near identical. We're going to have to check, does it have the same bug with that? Keep in mind, Wicked Lich from the Slab of Vecna is getting fixed with Module 28, which is launching today. However, it still has a bug that it does not get affected properly by your Minsk bonus and your Batiri bonus, which this character doesn't have right now. So again, we will make sure to check out the math on how this is working. Otherwise, it gives us overworldly force, decent for those ratings if you need them. And the appearance of the mount is as follows. So let's go and mount up and we can have an exact look at the visuals. So there you go. You end up as a suit of armor which is going to float around. And that's actually pretty cool because it's going to take on your armor illusions. So right now we have the Shining Bark Shield. We'll remove that. And there you go. That's the default appearance of said Zodar mount. We can just float around as a suit of armor. We can press spacebar and there you go. That's, I guess, somewhat of animation that you're going to maybe explode. If we just check out what, say, the combat power looks like, we go in the fight here against this dummy, cast it, and he just zooms in, deals some damage, and is gone. Keep in mind, he is a 4-slot mount, and he does have some interesting bonuses. You can get Enchanter's Hex, Lionheart's Perseverance, Warder's Motivation, Master's Precision, Mender's Covenant, Accursed Resolve, Cavalry's Warning, Magistrate's Patience. This one's pretty interesting with regards to giving you the ability to buff up your teammates' critical avoidance, helping them mitigate any damage they would take from critical hits. This is pretty useful on a tank or a healer, and it's the only mount that can currently have this. In terms of the preferred insignia bonuses you can have, well, that's Enchanter's Hex, Lionheart's Preservance, Warlord's Motivation, Accursed Resolve. Can't have Cavalry's Warning, I don't know why it's listed there. But if you have the Barbed, you can have Magistrate's Patient as preferred. Keep in mind, a critical heal will consider you receiving a critical strike. Meaning, yes, healers can very reliably trigger this. Now let's have a look at the artifact. So again, it comes in this pack. You open the pack and you confirm you want to bind it. And there you go. You obtain the artifact bound to your account. So we'll go and equip this on this character. And there you go, 1500 item level, gives you bonus crit severity, crit strike, and combat advantage ratings, and gives you that whole ability there. So you can deal a damage in a swarm of meteors, radius 25 feet. They'll take 10% increased damage for 10 seconds. They get a bit of a stun, and the damage over time will be once every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. It's very nice, the information they added to that. Again, going here against the dummies, we go and cast this. You're going to have to target it at one enemy, and then it deals those fireballs centered on that enemy. So you'll have to be careful who you aim at. So now let's check out, do these things actually work the way they say they do? Does the damage taken debuff work? Does the mount combat power work? Has it got any hidden or sneaky math behind it that makes it either better than it shows or worse? So again, both of those rewards are account-wide, meaning you can go to your promo tab, you can claim the Beacon of Meteor Swarm and the Zodar armor. So let's quickly test the artifact. Effectiveness 66.7%, 183,000 damage. We go and we cast that there then. We get the debuff on the boss, damage vulnerability, storm, and we can see our damage does get increased. The effectiveness goes up to 73.3%, which is indeed a 10% debuff, and the damage goes up to 200,000. Very good, that works. And they do claim this will not work with the token of Chromatic Storm artifact due to them giving the same vulnerability debuff. In terms of the raw damage of the artifact, well, it's not that impressive. It's going to deal damage with 6 meteors and then a bit of damage over time. We got on a full critical hit at like 94,000 item level with max stats and a bunch of damage buffs up to 60%, and yeah, it's only dealing about 440,000 damage. Now let's go and check out the new mount, Actions Speak Louder, and compare that also versus Wicked Lich. They should deal the same amount of damage. However, be aware that Vecna, or the Wicked Lich, is currently broken with regards to that it is not affected by bigger they are, more than 3%, and it is not affected at all by the Meteor. So it loses a lot of damage there, and that's why it's currently broken and not viable. You're always better off just using a 3000 magnitude mount power instead, until that potentially gets fixed. So let's again check Actions Speak Louder And how is that now? So checking Wicked Lich, that's 2.444 million damage on its critical hit. And now when we check the Zodar, hits the target for 2.47 million damage. So what we end up is this. Both Vecna and the Zodar will scale off your physical damage boost. That coming from your strength. However, you will see the Zodar mount dealt a little bit more damage, and you may ask why. And that is because the total damage buffs, they work a little bit differently. Vecna is currently still broken. It got fixed with Module 28 to not double dip with combat advantage, but Vecna will not benefit from the Meteor 11.25%, and it will only benefit 3% from Minsk. Thus, it loses nearly 15% damage buff versus the Zodar. However, the reason why it is so close is because Vecna will gain the 15% damage buff right here to itself. You gain the damage buff before Vecna deals any damage, contributing to it gaining that buff. And the Zodar mount will not get its damage boosted by the 15%. Thus, it's only at the 60.35%. Now the breakdowns is right here. You can see these are my damage buffs. We're adding up to the 58.5% with Vecna, and with the Zodar we're adding up to the 60.35%. So again, they both scale off strength, and right now Vecna is broken, that it does not benefit from Minsk and Meteor properly, and so it's slightly worse. And otherwise, if Vecna does get fixed, it will significantly be better because it gains a boost to its damage by the 15%, whereas the new mount does not. So as it stands, I do not recommend using this mount. I also do not recommend using Vecna. Vecna will become more viable once it actually gets fixed, but as it stands, it's not. You want to just use a 3000 magnitude mount power. Anybody who says otherwise does not really understand how the mount works. However, maybe your class is a special case. You're going to have to deal over 6750 magnitude for it to be worth versus a 3000 magnitude mount. That 15% damage buff from the Zodar or Vecna is not worth giving up the 600 magnitude that a 3000 magnitude power would have. Again, in order to make the most of that 15% buff, you would have to deal over 6750 magnitude after you cast your mount power. And no real class can properly do that without losing damage with timing in the artifact call. So not worth at all. Hopefully this clears things up. That's my test for the mount. Unfortunately, the 15% damage buff does not affect itself with regards to the Zodar, which means it's even less effective. Once again, a massive thank you to all of these channel members for their added support, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.